So this engine runs just fine, as we've seen, but they commonly need new crank seals at the very least, and I'll check the bearings as well. So we need to get into it, see what it needs. I've got all the bits required in case it does need a full rebuild. So let's go. So my funnel is tragically broken, so I'm using a produce tray that I've used before for draining bikes. And now we wait. Should be about 300 ml in here. Doesn't look too bad, it's slightly milky. Right, new plan, because I get out of breath quickly these days, especially when holding things. I'll just let it do its thing. So there's what it looks like, the forbidden butterscotch. Still dripping in now. Turns out 300 ml is quite a lot. Okay, so that's finally finished draining. I'm now going to put the drain plug back in because I've decided that I'm going to do the magneto side first. Okay, so I've been in here before, but this is the flywheel. It's got a 17mm nut in the middle. Now, you need to hold the flywheel to stop it spinning while you take the nut off. I've got this flywheel holder thing that I've had for a while now because it's a nightmare. But the other option would be to put a screw in a couple of these holes here because they're threaded, I think. I think they're threaded. Maybe not, maybe some sort of dowel or something in there. And then hold it with a screwdriver while you... because obviously that would stop it moving. But I'm going to do it the cheaty way because I've got the tool. Right, I've swapped angles because you're in total shadow. So if it is reverse thread, there we go. It's normal thread, sorry, not reverse thread. So we have a nut, we have a split washer, and if I can get it, there's my magnetic screwdriver, a normal washer. It doesn't want to come out. Normal washer. Now we need a flywheel puller. Here is a flywheel puller. I think this one's for Putch and Tomos or something like that. I can't remember now. I'll measure the threads on it if it works. That is too small. So it would appear I need a 27mm puller, and this one would appear with my crappy plastic calipers to be somewhere around 26. So I've ordered a 27mm, this one off eBay, but it's not going to be here for a couple of days. So let's go on to the transmission once I put the nut back on there so that I can not lose it. By transmission I mean clutch side. Normal washer, split washer, nut. the drain plug off again. And the trusty JIS screwdriver. These are all Japanese industry standard screws, so they'll probably strip out if you use a normal screwdriver, and in all honesty they'll probably strip out anyway because they're shit, because they're rusted. Right, I need a bit of help with that. Right, so I've let me soak in WD-40 for a couple of minutes. I'm going to use these little grips on the outside of the screw because I find that works. There's one. I find CK make the best grips. For some reason they just seem to bite in better than any other brand I've used. There we go. Of course I could have got it with the impact screwdriver, but that's a bit hit and miss, isn't it? Once they're all loosened, they'll undo. I think that's all of them. I think. Well, that was promising. We've lost a screw though. And it's the gasket holding it on weirdly, because it's pulled a spacer out with it. I was quite hoping to save this gasket, so... And it's not crucial because I've got another one. Will it come off there? Just gotta get something to scrape it off with. It's getting quite hot, I've had to take my coat off. Okay. Oh, the gasket's split at this end anyway. So I've cleaned most of the oil out of here with brake cleaner. I don't like how that's not running very true, it doesn't look like. Well, it is running true, but that lip there is wavy, so I don't know if it's perhaps weighted a certain way for balance, or if it's just not balanced, who knows. Either way, it's suboptimal. It could just be because it's not being supported by the bearing there, so we'll assume it's that. Clutch bell is held on by a circlip here, so he's going to be the first to go. One circlip. Something to keep these bits in. There is the clutch. There's a washer underneath it, that washer. So there's the drive for the oil pump. that is the actual oil pump there, and as you turn that ever so slowly, it moves that. So I'm thinking I'm probably just going to remove, don't know how well you can see it, not very, hang on, I'll do something a bit silly. If I put you that way up, you can see there's a little E-clip there holding this cog on. So I might as well just pull the whole thing, hadn't I? Just pull the whole cog off it. But this oil pump drive is held on by, there we are, this oil pump drive is held on by another circlip, so I'll do him next. They are the same size, which makes it a bit easier so I don't get the circlips mixed up. There's the oil pump drive. Right, I'm going to knock that E-clip off the end of there first before I do anything else, I think. There we go. And then that slides off. Okay, there's not enough clearance to slide that off, so I'm going to have to take the oil pump out. And I don't think you can see it from there. That little pin is about ready to fall out as well, so I'll grab him to prevent him from going anywhere. Right, so oil pump is held on by some screws in there. You can get an oil pump blanking plate, but they're quite expensive. They're about 20 quid, and for the sake of just leaving it in but not connected, I might as well do that. So there's a secret hidden screw right in here, which we'll hopefully be able to undo. So come with me on a journey of discovery. There is the pump. I undid the screw there, you can see that's up. I undid another screw there, but that screw, if it'll focus, the side is busted out of it, so it won't undo. And it's in the most awkward place where I can't get anything on it, so that pump can't be removed now without drilling that screw out, which is going to be a nightmare, because then I'd have to re-tap, drill it, you know, all the way out, re-tap it, faff about. So I'm left with two options. Option one is destroy this cogwheel to get it off the shaft, and then no pump. In fact, there's three options. Option two would be leave that pin out, which I think is what I'm going to do, because the pin that was in there, this is terrible, isn't it? Hang on. Because the pin that was in there rests in those little indentations in the back, and without it that just spins freely on the shaft like that, which is probably the best thing to do, because then it's not going to have problems with running dry. Because if the pump's dry, I'm assuming it's not getting any lubrication. I don't want it to seize up while I'm riding or anything like that. The problem being, without those pins there, that can move all the way back. which means it's going to be flapping in and out of contact with those threads on there. So I may have to get something to sleeve that with, just to keep it away. It's annoying that it won't come all the way off. I mean, we're almost there, look. Option 3 would be just cut it off. Cut this cog off and get it out of the way. So if I haven't got anything I can shim that with, or sleeve that with, then that's probably what I'll end up doing. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Let's take the kickstart off. Right, here's a bolt with a 10mm head. Put that in there. So that comes out. I see, so that pin went in the hole in the quadrant. Let's move this to drain onto. And that's out. Cool. Which means this can come out that way up. So the clip was downwards. And we are now in the territory of being able to get to the bearing we want. Which, if I move that out of the way, throw all the screws everywhere, is right there. So we just need to take that plate out and we've got it. I'm going to go looking for screws. So you may be thinking, the crank is here, why am I undoing all that? Well, I wanted to check the condition of this bearing here, which is for the drive shaft. So as you can see down here, when I turn it, the drive shaft turns. I wanted to check it for play by wobbling it about a bit. It seems okay. Have a look at it. Visually it looks decent, and when you turn it, it's fairly quiet. I think the only sound you can hear in there is the two bevel gears inside meshing together to turn it 90 degrees. So basically I'm not going to bother taking this cap off and replacing it, because I'd have to faff about, I imagine. There's a lip on this shaft here stopping the bearing coming any further that way, and there's a bevel gear on the other side, so I'm assuming it would probably involve a press to sort that if it did need replacing, and like I said, it seems fine. So next job is to take this off. Okay, we now have a piston stop installed, so I can take the clutch out, wipe all the grease off myself, and revert back to doing it the old-fashioned way. And then everyone's going to say, oh, you're going to damage your con rod. Well, I might, but I don't think I did. Right, that is a washer, and it's sort of dished, and the dish is facing downwards. Chuck that in there. Oh, fuck box. Well, that's not good, is it? I didn't do it. And there's a little woodruff key as well. It's a good job I've got spare engines, isn't it? So that is like a cushion drive sort of thing. See the rubber in there, and there's that pin that rides in here and biffs against those. But unfortunately, it's now got a big chunk out of it, which is going to offset the yeah, it's going to cause problems with the crankshaft because it's going to be out of balance. So that sucks. That's something I'm going to have to sort. And this thing with, I thought it had a little shim on it. Right. Okay. Yank this screw out if I can. There we go. I was going to say I almost wish I hadn't bothered, but actually I didn't do that. That was already very fractured. It must have been, because it just fell apart. I'll watch the video back and make sure I didn't do anything to cause it, but I think it would have happened anyway while the engine was running and caused all manner of problems. There's a little collar thing here. And then there's your seal, which with the collar thing out, you can just kind of lever out, I suppose. That's good, isn't it? And that is a SD 28 by 85 by 7. Just to show you as well, I don't know how well focused it is, but the bearing looks alright, but there is a bit of muck that's got behind the seal. Probably can't see very well in there. Focus. Nope. Okay, not focusing. But yeah, yeah, it's like a lip of muck that got behind the seal. So I'm leaning towards possibly replacing this bearing, which means tearing the whole engine down. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right, hadn't I? Right, so it's a new day and I've found a puller. This is the clutch puller from a PA50. So if you've got a Honda Camino, or if you're across the pond, if you've got a Honda Hobbit clutch puller, it seems to work. It's a finer thread than the other one. It's about 1 millimetre wider than the other one that I was using, which I think was for a Tomos. And it does screw in. It hasn't screwed in as far as I'd like, but it should hopefully work. It's also quite oddball size spanners you need for it. So that's a 21. And this is an 18, but hopefully if we get a bit of tension on it, it should pop off. Right, that's as much as I want to put on for now. I've forgotten my hammer, but what you do is you put a bit of tension on it and then tap the end, and hopefully that should knock it off. I'll go get the hammer. Yeah, that's not playing, is it? Right, I'll go get my socket set and do it with that. God, the magnets are strong on that. There we go. Lovely. Got it. Aha. That screw is slightly rounded off, which makes me think that someone's been in here before. I'm not sure if there's any timing marks on this, because I don't think you can time it. I think you can if you modify it and like elongate the slots or whatever, but I think most of the timing's done just with the curve of the CDI. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that it only goes in one way then. Well, that's how it looks anyway. Get the Woodruff key out. Got it. Woodruff key. That's the inside of the flywheel. And then I need my impact driver. So looking at those screws, there's no way they're coming out with a normal screwdriver, so I'm going to go straight in for the impact. Felt like it moved. It's hard to tell though. We might get to a point where this won't come off, in which case I can't change that seal because it's right underneath this. I do hope not though, because that would be tragic. I don't like this. God, these screws are so soft. I may have hit a dead end there. So if I can't get those screws out, we are buggered. But I have plans that may work. So bear with me. Okay, so do you remember this guy, the little screw inside there? I've had an idea that might do it. I'm not totally convinced it's going to work, but it's worth a try, I think. So, follow me on the journey. So we've reached somewhat of a stalemate. We've got to get this plate off because the seal we need to change is behind there, and really we want to take the whole thing apart anyway, so we're going to need to take that off. These screws are stripped out, the two that hold the plate on. So we're kind of out of luck really. I'm going to mark this up and mark where it goes, which end it goes, and I'm going to take it out so it doesn't get damaged, and then we're going to use brute force. Try and move that out of the way as far as we can. Might try and find something to shield it as well, sort of in between the coil and where I'm going. Okay, so here's the plan that I've got currently. I've already tried this twice and it didn't film, so I don't know if the welder perhaps knocks off the filming capabilities of the phone or not. But basically, put a washer on there. I'm just going to prop this up a bit there. Put a washer around the screw, throw a nut at it, get another nut that you've not thrown in the ignition, put it on top like that, and then fill it with weld. You'll end up with something that looks very similar to that, and hopefully actually stays welded onto the screw itself. So we'll give it a go. Like I say, I've tried it twice already, so I'm not holding out a huge amount of hope. The whole bloody thing's moving. Give it the best chance, let it cool down. Hey look, it's still recording, how good's that? Right. Now hopefully, in theory, if it has stuck, which I'm sceptical about, should be able to remove that screw with this 13mm, like a bolt. Yep, won't be a sec. Yeah, it's just not sticking. Let's see if we can get weld to stick to it, sorry, without the nut on there, and just see how difficult it is. See, there is some weld stuck on there now, so if I retrieve this nut from in here, maybe it'll stick to the pre-existing weld now. It's got to be worth a go, right? I'll do without the washer. We'll just go straight in with the weld. Bit me. Maybe, just maybe, this is the one. Oh, feels a bit better. Still snapped off, but it felt better. Maybe if I put a giant blob of weld on there, I'll be able to somehow make that into a fastener head I can remove them. The other option, of course, is to drill it out, but I really can't be arsed with that. I'm going to go get another M8 bolt and see if I can get it over that. Okay, last couple of goes before I give up. Bung that on there. So it's on a blob of weld now that goes up the inside of the nut. So that should hopefully give us more surface area to attach it. We will see. Surely that's the strongest one yet. It's also very hot compared to the other ones. It's still glowing now. Give that a moment to cool down. Alcohol-free beer break. Heart problems, innit? Right, let's see how we get on. Socket won't fit on it now. Perfect. Yeah, there's a little dribble down the side. I'm a bit too far with it, but it does seem more sturdy. No, it doesn't. The original blob's still there though. 2 more M8s and an M10. Oh, that's a bit sturdier. Oh man. Here's most of the failed attempts. That one's still hot. And there's another couple on the floor as well, somewhere. I don't think we're going to get it by welding it out. I guess it's stuck there for now then. It looks a lot more of a fucking mess than it did though, doesn't it? That's how it did look. Like that one. Up there. That isn't from weld, by the way. That is that was already on there. However, all the grey skid marks are from weld, but I don't think I've damaged anything. I think it's just literally the smoke from, because it's flux core weld. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. At the end of the day, I don't want to destroy anything, but if I have to get the engine back working, I do have another 3 spare engines, so we'll see. Okay, still determined to get it. I'm going to try and easy out, which means rather nerve-wrackingly I've got to drill through it, but I have faith. It survived, but I don't like it. Thought I'd gone through the bloody coil then. That's good, isn't it? You know when you have an idea and it just gets increasingly worse? That kind of thing, really. To be honest, I'm considering my life choices. Everyone says with these engines, it's very important that you replace the crank seals. So, I mean, that's true of a lot of engines. So are these particularly bad? Because no one's ever said if they're particularly bad or not. I mean, I don't generally replace crank seals unless I think they need them. And this one is going to end up ruining the engine at this rate. So I'm going to have a think. I might just leave it as is. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I can replace the whole engine casing if I need to, and you know, with the coil. But I don't really want to do that. And I've had a couple of close calls with this coil here, which I think still works. I don't really want to do any more. If I need to, I mean, there's apparently the PW80 coil is a good upgrade for these anyway, because it gives you a stronger spark. But I really don't want to fuck it up needlessly. I'll sleep on it. Right, so it's a new day today. I've had a think, I've cleared my head. Let's see if we can get this bloody screw out with a new method. Already running into problems because the drill bit's not long enough. Right, hopefully that'll be enough to get a bit of purchase on this with this massive long centre punch and knock the screw round. Oh my god, is it working? It's working! Oh my god! Yes! Can't really get it there. Oh, yes, can. Oh, thank fuck for that. Yes! Oh, I thought basically I had 3 choices. For that to work, or to snap these lugs off and then get a new ignition plate, or just not to bother to change the seal. So I'm so glad that's worked. Let's see if the other one does it as well. Centre punch again. So I'm only drilling down about 1 millimetre. Oh, yes. Fucking excellent. Yeah. Fucking excellent. Tell me that's all that was holding them on. It's not a third one. Fuck for that. Don't know how it was stuck on, but it very much was. I'll put all the screws back in those coils so I don't lose them. And then we can get on with either splitting the case, which I haven't decided yet because it's been a fucking nightmare so far, or just changing that seal that's surrounded by broken drill bits and other detritus. Right, so the decision on whether I'm taking the whole thing apart is going to be made by all these case screws. If I can't get them out, then I'm not getting them out. Yes. I think we might manage it, maybe. Or maybe not. Some of these are already a bit stripped off, I've noticed. There's one here that you probably can't see that's already stripped to some extent. Oh yeah, even the difficult one came out. The most difficult so far, that is. Maybe I'll do that to all of them. Final boss, the intake. It straddles the seam, so it's got to come out. Oh, I don't like that. Brilliant. First look inside the reed hole. Let's zoom you in a bit, shall we? Crankshaft's looking a bit mucky. I think it's okay. So I'm going to take the head off next, and the top end. I'm going to leave the piston attached, I think, but the rest of it can all come off. 110mm socket on the world's shittiest ratchet, but it seems to be working. Now this is apparently a new 60cc kit. And I've got to say, it does look like it. All looks about perfect as you'd expect. Okay, so this case is now being held together just by all these screws that I've loosened. So I'll go around and undo them all and invite you along for when I take it apart. So some of these screws were lovely, and other ones not so much. So you can see why some of them were difficult to get out. Right, I'm going to need my rubber hammer on this. There we go. Right, nearly forgot one. God for that. Right, okay. I'll do that. It's just the crank holding it together now, I think. No, it's not even that. That bearing stayed in the case. That one is knocking out. Ah, so that bearing stayed in the case as well. Brilliant. Love it. It's a bit of muck in there, but everything's going to clean up. So, with the exception of the shaft drive on this half, which I haven't decided if I'm going in yet because it seems really nice, and the oil pump on this half, which I'd love to go in but currently can't, that's the whole thing apart. Let's knock these bearings out. There's one. They actually feel fine, but they look awful. You can feel the rust around there, and they just look awful. They're probably, the balls might have little tiny marks on them or something, and I might as well just replace it because I've got loads of these. I think these are 6203 C3. Koyo though, very good. (6203). Maybe not C3. C3 is the clearance, so on your crankshaft you want to use C3 clearance because it allows for expansion within the engine. So there's one anyway. Right, let's see what we can do about this seal. Will it just prise out? Not really. What I'll try and do then is knock the bearing out that way through the seal and then push the seal out that way. One bearing, equally as unwell as the other one. And there's the seal from the back. The bearing was up against that before, so I should be able to now just push on it and it will pop out in theory. Might knock on it instead. Oops, I forgot to take the gasket off. That's the reed gasket. I'll go over it with a Stanley blade later. I don't like the look of that gunk there. It's not looking very nice, is it? It's more mayonnaise than anything, but there is a slight metallic hue to it, which I don't really like. But we'll send it. So I'm going to clean that up now with brake cleaner and a rag. Just to show you as well, this is the outside of the engine case. Look at all the shite in there. So this is part of why we had to change the seals and bearings, because they were getting mucky and they needed cleaning. So that's what we're on with.